Hello, this is Solo Strategic Playthroughs, and if this is your first time visiting the channel, welcome. My name is Jeff, and today I am going to be playing Gloomhaven 2nd Edition, sort of continuing my campaign, but it's going to be a little bit different. Normally, we've been following the adventures of the Bruiser, the Tinkerer, and the Mind Thief, Yakko, Wacko, and Dot. But in this episode number 10, or sidetrack number 1, I recently received the Mercenary Pack. So we're going to try out 3 of the mercenaries, and they're going to go on one of the quests that the Gloomaniacs are too busy to check out. So I'm going to be doing the Arcane Library, Scenario 88. That was something that came about earlier in the campaign, and if the Gloomaniacs are too busy to deal with it, then Hale will go check it out herself, and she'll be joined by Satha and Anaphi. But before we get into this, just to keep the campaign going, I am going to do a city phase, and I'm going to level up the characters. I'm actually going to start at level 2, and I'll kind of explain how I'm going to be moving along with them. So let's jump right into the city phase. So as always, the city phase, we start off with an event phase, and I had a very interesting event, which I'll tell you a little bit about. There was a fire in Gloomhaven, and I haven't seen an event like this before, where I actually have to go to the scenario book to see what happens. But you have a fire raging, panicked people, you have some help, you have to decide which of your characters you want to assign where. So this was quite the introduction for this group of veterans that have come together. As you can imagine, Hale was rather annoyed that she was going to have to waste time dealing with this, but she begrudgingly did. Of course, Satha, much more gung-ho, insisting that they help these people. So the 3 of them were very successful in dealing with the fire. Again, I'm not going to go into details about how I did that in case you have that event come up your own. It's a lot of fun. You can kind of figure it out. But the end result was they each got 5 XP, and I got another prosperity tick. As I said, I'm going to be continuing. This is all part of my larger campaign. These are scenarios that if I were playing longer, I would have the others go ahead and do the sidetracks, but I'm not. So you can see here I'm at 6 reputation with the guards, 5 with the merchants, just 1 with the demons. Haven't really gotten to know them yet. Halfway there along towards prosperity level 3. Normally, I would always donate to the Great Oak. I cannot do that this time as I don't have enough gold with my new characters. I am doing the city phase. I made that decision from the start that this city phase was going to be for the new characters. In terms of the characters, now normally at prosperity level 2, they'd come in at level 1. I don't know how often I'm going to get to play these characters. I want to start to play around with what they do have. So I'm probably going to keep them at the level of the prosperity level. We'll see when they show up again. But for now, they are going to be level 2. Let's take a look at the characters. Character-wise, we'll start things off with Satha. 35, prosperity level 2. I did follow that for items. Got 35 gold to spend. So I decided to give the Iron Spear a try. Give her some more distance attack, since I am at 5 reputation with the city guard, and not as exciting, but she is going to be my frontline fighter, so the hide armor. And for perks, so I decided, again, I'm going to treat this, even though this is a separate group, I'm going to treat it as if they're the next in line in lineage. So depending on how many retirees, I'll give them additional perks as we go along. So I'm going to give them 1 lineage perk, and the others are very close to retiring, as well as a perk for reaching level 2. And so we'll go over Satha's first. First up, I gave her the unflinching ability so that she doesn't take -1s from putting items in her deck, and she's immune to stun. For the other one, just trying to mix up the deck a bit. And again, I haven't played any of these characters, so don't know what's going to work best for them. But I thought being able to have allies move is useful. Being able to occasionally disarm enemies, also very useful for this frontline fighter. So those are the 2 perks I chose for her. For Satha's level up, I had a choice between Stand Firm and Outmaneuver. I decided to go with Outmaneuver, give me more flexibility in moving enemies around, giving advantage, a little bit of extra movement. So I don't have a lot of healing. We'll see how that goes, what kind of support we can get from other characters, but we're going with Outmaneuver. Just one other note on the card images here as I'm going through. I did post a link in the show notes to a website that I just threw together that shows you all the cards of these characters. There are spoilers there's no filter, maybe there will be by the time I put it up, but they're in numeric order, so you can just look at the level 1s, the level 2, and with that, let's move on to the next character. Next up is Hale, the irritable enchanter, who doesn't really want to be bothered with any of this, but if nobody else is going to go check out the Arcane Library, then I suppose she'll have to do it herself. She doesn't like enemies running around, bothering anybody, so she's bringing some stun powder, and when she does have to attack, she does not like to miss. So a simple bow for her. For her perks, I thought I had to stay on brand and ignore scenario effects. I often choose that early given the option, so I did. On top of that, she gets to throw 2 +1s in the deck, make her attacks a little bit better, and then I could not resist this other one, which is... So Hale's got a really interesting mechanic, which is irritation. She has to gain irritation before she'll use her more powerful abilities. Here's a means of gaining irritation. It's putting a better attack card in the monster deck. So whenever one of the monsters attacks with this increased attack, I've made them a little bit tougher. It'll make Hale a little bit more annoyed, make her a little bit more effective. For Hale's level up, I decided to go with Outsource, so she can stand back, let others do the work, give allies ability to attack, and then also to be able to buff up her allies. Kind of fun, though I like the other one to do that 6 teleport, but then you have to put a Bless in the monster deck. So we'll keep it a little bit more. We're already buffing up the monsters a little. Let's not do it too much. So again, I'll go with Outsource. Finally, we've got Anaphi, the Vermling from Jaws of the Lion, which I have not played enough to have the full context of this character. Just reminding me that at some point I am going to have to go through and do that campaign. But for his item, I decided to give him the Warden's Robes, because he's all about summons, and this is a nice card to help protect your summons. Another thing I'll mention about the equipment, I am using the same pool. So, for example, I might want to give people boots to give them +1 movement, but those two are already in use by my other characters. So I don't want to shuffle things around. If they're not available, I'm not using them. Also gives you an opportunity to try some new equipment. Now, the other thing is, I know you're supposed to spend all the gold or lose it with the level up, but I think it's reasonable, given I'm not going to be playing these characters too often. He's going to hang on to his extra gold. For Anafi's perks, I love this idea of being able to reconfigure the enemies at the start, and you get to do it after cards are revealed. So you get to see what they're going to do, then move somebody before anybody goes. Sounds like fun, so I'm going to grab that perk. And then for the other one, start beefing up the attack deck, pull a couple zeros, which I guess does increase the frequency of the -1s coming up, but we won't worry too much about it. I do like this card. It's a straight up +1, but if a summon draws it, +2. For Anafi's level up card, I decided to call an audible here. My original intent had been to give him Hidden Assault, because what is a Vermling without the effectiveness of a Scurry? This one also generating Night, which a couple of his cards use to be a little bit better. But I'm really light on healing. I've kind of got Hale in my support role, replacing the Tinkerer of sorts, and her only heal wounds the ally as well. So, give and take a little bit with everything Hale does. So I'm going to go ahead and take the heal card. And then they both have move 3, both good abilities on the bottom. This one a little bit faster initiative. So again, going with Tiber's Tenacity. One other note I'm going to make, since I'm kind of making up rules for how I'm going to include the mercenaries, is I'm going to give myself a free respec every time I play. Just an opportunity that if I decide I want to try different cards, I'll try different cards. I also do plan on adding Cassandra into the mix at some point. I didn't include her this time because she's kind of a redo of an existing character. I wanted to try 3 totally new characters. Now it is time to hit the road. We are heading all the way down the southwest to check out the Arcane Library. Along the way, we did have a road event. This one actually following through from just last session. I had a situation where I had an opportunity to take some time to clear a path, clear out an area that could be sheltered in the future, and as luck would have it, that event came up, so the Gloomaniacs don't even get to reap the benefits. Somehow fitting that Hale doesn't have to do any of the work, gets the benefits. The advantage of that was quite nice. I may not have donated to the Great Oak, but all of my characters are going to get 1 bless, and start the first round strengthened, which is kind of like the Bruiser's ability, but even better because if they have multiple attacks, it'll apply to all of them. Having traveled through the wilderness after taking advantage of the hard work of the Gloomaniacs, we have arrived at the site of the Arcane Library. We are outside and we have a couple of choices. Of course, unsurprising, there is quite a bit of wildlife here. In this case, there are going to be forest imps, a whole bunch of them. There are going to be 4 forest imps, as well as a pair of cave bears, one of them kind of hiding out here under the tree. So, and we have 2 options. We can kill all the enemies, and then the door here will be available to us, and we can go in that way, or we can take the treacherous path all the way around. Don't have to fight as many enemies, but that is a lot of rough terrain, a lot of traps, a lot of water to have to get through. Now, Hale, not one for the longer route. Even though she could teleport through that, she's the one least affected. At movement, not a strong strength of this group, not a lot of jump. I think that path would be pretty treacherous. So Hale is going to be like, kill them all, we'll go in the front door. So that is probably going to be my plan, is just take all these enemies and head in through the entrance and ignore all of this messy terrain. And as I choose my battle goals and which cards I'm leaving out, which will also, at the same time, I'll be deciding what cards I'm going to lead off with, I am going to be playing Scenario Level 2. Again, all of my characters are Level 2, so whether you're using 1st edition or 2nd edition rules, because I'm playing solo, that would get bumped up. Of course, it should not be surprising that it took me quite a while to figure out which cards to bring, because this is my first time looking at all of them. But after spending a good deal amount of time going through that, I think I am finally ready. So for Satha, first battle goal, super simple. It's Prohibitionist. She doesn't have a potion anyway, so I've completed that one before I've even started. As far as for the cards I'm not bringing, I'm not sure. I'm going to try for a mastery if it can work. One of them probably not, because that's the one where I have to allow an ally to move or attack every turn, and I'm not doing that in the first round. But I might get lucky and draw an attack card that does it. So then the other one about enemy allies not attacking could be difficult with all those summons out, but at least I have abilities to move them around. And I also wanted to kind of concentrate on low initiative. So I took a bunch of high initiative cards out. I also took out cards that really their best ability are one-shots. So since XP, I'll be going for XP, but it's not a main goal here. It's really to get a feel for the character. I did like the idea of having another player play a card from their deck, but again, without any stamina potions yet, and still trying to get a feel for it, I'll hold off to that for a future game. Although I do realize that that card, which effectively allows an ally to move or attack during your turn, is probably pivotal to get that mastery. But again, since I'm not going for the mastery, not too worried about it. For Hale, she is the Straggler, which seems appropriate to never short rest. So again, that should not be too difficult. She's going to be far from the action most of the time anyway. I am definitely going to try and go for her mastery, which is to generate irritation every round. I am leaving out one of the 4 irritation generating cards I've got, but only because I don't really necessarily have the support for it, and I think I can do it with the other 3 cards, and if not, I'll find out soon enough. Her other mastery is 3 rounds in a row, spending at least 3 irritation. I don't know if I'll be able to do that, but as I kind of get a feel for her as we play along, maybe keep the possibility there. I am leaving out her healing card as well. The other 2 have a pretty good healing card, so hopefully that will be enough. And also, I did put in a card that potentially lets her ward everybody, so she's no slouch. She'll offer some protection. The 2 middle cards there just seem the least interesting of the choices, so they were pretty easy to remove, at least for this first game, and that is it for Hale. For Anaphi, he is the Ritualist, which is kill an enemy while 3 elements are strong or waning. He himself has that card. His level 2 will generate 2 elements, so then I just need to either coordinate, have somebody else generate 1, or have him generate, and he will get credit if a summons kills it, so I feel like he's got a pretty good opportunity of pulling that off. In terms of cards I'm not bringing, well, talking about his masteries, both of which we'll see. One of them is I have to attack an enemy that has a condition on it 8 times, and I have to do that in 3 scenarios. So that should be pretty straightforward. Just kind of pay attention to that. Did make sure to include some stuff that puts conditions. Hail puts out conditions as well. And then the other is to have 3 summons attack 3 times each. So I'm bringing all 3 summons, and I'm bringing plenty of cards that allow them to attack. A couple of the cards here I'm not including, just some fairly generic 3 attacks. Much as I like the loot card and being able to do the move 3 too, another effective scurry, that is going to get left out just because I had to make cuts somewhere. So for round 1, as we start off, got my people positioned in the corner here. Gonna go pretty fast, hopefully fast enough, as Satha will be leading the charge. What else is new? Into battle. But I'm going to be taking advantage of the extra movement generated by the perk I got for Anaphi to allow her to potentially push the elite cave bear into both of these traps over here. So, and she'll be right in the thick of things, which means I've got Anaphi set up to be able to do melee attacks where an ally is, including her, so should be able to take some pot shots at the forest imps. For Hail, we'll get started with her being irritated and also potentially keeping that cave bear at bay. But as always, it all depends on what the enemies are doing, so let's hop over to X-Haven and take a look. All right, we've got everybody queued up on 11, 15, and 21 from my road event. Everyone is strengthened. You can see the cave bears and the forest simps here, and they are going to be not going before me. So, all right, so the cave bear not even moving, so that's great, because neither of them are going to be adjacent to us, and so they're not doing anything. One of them is going to be stunned anyway. The forest imps moving 3, attack 2, curse, range 3. Pretty annoying, but kind of predictable. Those imps do love their curses. So we're going to kick off this scenario before anybody goes with Into the Depths, which is going to allow Anaphi to target an enemy within 5, so he is within range of this cave bear, and have him move 2. So he's going to send him back this way, and now we can get things started. Satha, appropriately enough, will both lead the charge and tell the others to get behind me, as she will go 1, 2, 3, 4, making her way in between those trees and between all of those enemies. Then she will go ahead and use her very blurry spear, which I'll have to fix at some point. But she is going to be able to lead the charge with a 3 attack. She was not adjacent to enemies at the start of her turn, so it'll be a 4 attack with push 2 and XP. And again, she's able to target the cave bear 2 hexes away from the spear. This attack will be advantage from her strengthen from the road event. And you can see being able to get off this huge attack right off the bat, maybe sacrificing an ability to do her mastery, still felt worth it. So let's go ahead. It feels very heroic. Either a ×2 or a +1. And I just shuffled. So that is going to be 8 damage. And then for the push 2, moving away, 1, 2. These are both 4 damage stun traps, which is going to be 8 more damage, which is going to bring this guy down to just 1 health, and he's stunned. Next up will be Anaphi, who's going to go ahead and attack the cave bear, even though he's not moving. He's within range 3, so just a base 1 attack, which I can use pull, but probably will not. So that is 1, and at advantage from the strengthen from the road event, ×2. So we're rolling in the ×2s. 2 damage, gonna knock the cave bear down to 9. I will leave him where he is, and I will go ahead and generate wind. Then I'll go ahead and put surrounding shadows into play, giving Anaphi his first XP. And of course I can now attack melee wherever any of my allies are, and wouldn't you know it, there's Satha right in the middle of the action. Where else would you expect to find her? So I will be able to do a 2 attack with push and immobilize. I'm going to see if I can't take one of these out. I'll go ahead and do the 2 attack on the non-elite directly above her. And that is going to be just 2 damage. They do have 1 shield, so it survives. I'm not going to push it. I'll leave it where it is, and I'll immobilize it so it at least attacks at disadvantage. Next up is Hale, who can't be bothered to move. So she's going to stay where she is, but at least she will have a little bit more range. Unfortunately, she has not generated any irritation yet. She'll start getting irritated next turn, or at the end of this turn. So she can't do the additional target, but she will be able to attack 1 at actually range 5 and immobilize. She'll go ahead and get the elite over here, so that also will have to attack at disadvantage. This attack at advantage for her strengthen, so base 1, either a -1 or a 0, so 1 damage against the 1 shield is no damage, but at least the elite is immobilized, and at the end of her turn, Hale will gain her first irritation, particularly irritated at not dealing any damage. Now the forest imps are up. They're all attacking at range 3. They don't need to. They're attacking for 2. All of them are going to target Satha. So we will start with the elites. The immobilized one on the left can't move, so it will attack at disadvantage, either a -1 or... What's going to irritate... I think that might irritate Hale, that she is not going to gain irritation, because we're going to go with the -1. So it's just 1 damage. Satha will use her armor to reduce that to 0, and then she will also gain a curse. Now the other elite is going to move back 1, so not attacking at disadvantage, for 2 damage, armor again, reducing that to 1, so now Satha is down to 11. For the non-elites, we'll start with the one who's not at disadvantage, and that's going to be a miss. And then the guy at disadvantage is going to be either a -1 or ×2, so we'll take the -1 there. Only 1 damage, all things considered. 2 curses and only 2 damage. Satha is down to 10, and that is going to do it for the round. All right, so here's the situation going into round 2. Again, we're going to be going pretty fast. We still have 6 enemies on the board, and those cave bears are probably going to be getting back into the action. But we've got Hale just kind of hanging back, but she'll continue to help out in a couple different ways. She's got a couple different options for what she can do. Satha is just going to continue working on those enemies. Does have flexibility of moving around with a jump, getting in an attack, which will make the ally attack better. That ally being Anaphi, who is going to get the rats into play, but is also going to be able to do a melee attack. So here's my crew this round, 13, 22, and 23. I have Anaphi going just after Satha, the way I want to set it up. And of course, the cave bears and the forest imps. All right, so quick move for the forest imps as they're phasing out with 6 shield. That is extremely annoying. They're going to generate an element. I'm not sure which element they generate. Is that my choice? I'll have to double check. Cave bears moving 3 and attacking for 4 or 5. And as things stand right now, that would get the other cave bear in here. So I'm going to have to do some planning. All right, so right at the top of the round, all of the forest imps, only 1 was injured. He's going to heal himself up to 2. They're all going to give themselves 6 shields. So they got 7 shields. I do have Pierce, so it's not impossible for me to hit them. The real question now is, can I do damage to the bears instead? So Hale's going to lead things off, and I'm going to have her use some bizarre antics, the bottom part, to do a 1 attack and wound, normally be range 3, but it is range 4, so she's just within range of the elite here. I'd kept my options open, that if I needed to, I could target the cave bear and stun him so that he doesn't run up on her. But Satha's going to take care of that. So we'll go ahead and do that attack, and I will spend her irritation so that instead of wounding herself and Satha, she will ward them. And this will be a 1 attack against 7 shields. Hey, you never know. You never know. You might just waste your bless. Well, at least he's wounded. Now she will use top half of the other card, Outsource. She will grant somebody within 3. That is going to be Anaphi the ability to do a melee attack of value 4. Now, Anaphi still has his augment in play, so he can attack from the position of the bruiser. He's going to go ahead and attack the wounded one because that'll help towards mastery, if nothing else. So Anaphi going in with a base 4 attack, +1 is 5, which is no damage. And last but not least, Hale didn't move, so she will go ahead and gain back her irritation. Next up will be Satha, and with the 3 jump, I can knock off 2 birds with 1 stone. I can get away from the elite cave bear so that I don't take any damage from it, and I can engage with an enemy I can actually damage, the non-elite cave bear. So we will just go 1, 2, 3, jumping up over here, and then Satha can go ahead and do her attack. This will be a 3 attack with Pierce, although bears do not have armor. So just a straight 3. We're going to disarm the bear, which I don't think we can. That's unfortunate. And then a 0, so 3 damage. And of course, I do not get the attack bonus from the other card because I'm not adjacent to 2 or more enemies. Next up is Anaphi. And with the Black Claws, we'll go ahead and summon the Sewer Monstrosity. And it just so happens that from Oathsworn, I have a giant rat. So we'll pop that guy down there just underneath the tree. He's over here, so he'll be able to go after the bear next turn. And we'll gain some XP for that. And then, again, I can go ahead and do a melee attack against, well, just 1 enemy, because he's no longer... Actually, no. I can target 2 away. Unlikely to hit, although the first attack will have Pierce. So I'm going to burn the wind. It's a base 2 attack. Again, pretty funky the way this works, but because of my augment, it's as if I'm occupying the spot right up over here where Satha is. And this effect does allow me, for the second target, because I burned the wind, to target somebody an extra space away. So I actually can target the elite, which will muddle it. I'll also muddle the cave bear. And I'll attack the elite first, so that I do have Pierce 2. Still not a great shot of doing any damage, but you never know. After the Pierce 2, it's a 2 attack against 5 shields now. And -1. So no damage. I'm glad I did that one first. Now we'll do a 2 attack against the bear. And it's going to be 2 damage. Again, for now a second time, I haven't attacked an enemy that already had a condition because the other one was wounded before it was muddled. Now the cave bear's up. They're moving 3 and attacking. So we'll start with the elite, who will just head closer. And I'm really missing all of my AoE attacks and head exploding and all that, but this crew has other ways of handling things. I don't know what they are, but we'll figure them out as I plan for next round. But before I do that, the non-elite bear is going to get off a 3 attack against Satha, who has ward, and the attack will be at disadvantage. So we'll go ahead and flip either a 0 or a 0. So that is going to be 3 damage. The ward is going to knock it down to 1. Going to round 3, I have to say these characters are extremely complex. There's so much going on, so many people that can affect other people, trying to figure it all out. But I think I've got a handle on it. This round, just figuring out who's going to go when, trying to get everything in the order. The summons, I realized, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull this off, but Anaphi's goal is to have his summons kill 3 enemies. So... three summons kill 3 enemies, while Satha is trying to make sure that none of them get attacked. Could be tricky. But to that end, I am going to try and at least get the rats to get their first kill, with a little help from Hale, who's going to be able to send them forward to attack. Also going to be able to swap 2 people and do some poison. Satha is going to work on the enemies up in the corner, and why not? Anaphi's going to bring another summons into play. Let's see what the enemies can do to mess up my plans this time. As we'll go ahead and draw. All right, a low slash for the cave bear. That does mess things up because they're going very fast. I thought I'd be able to kill them before they go. Not impossible, and there's actually a couple different ways I can do things, with Hale going first. As for the forest critters, calculated strike, so just move to attack 3. This is very complicated. I'm going to have to switch around a lot of what I was planning on doing this turn, but I want to limit the attacks of these bears who are immobilizing. I can't stop them both. One of them is going to get in there next to Satha before I can do anything, but she does have, it wasn't my plan, but she's got a bottom attack lined up and a ranged attack. But first things foremost, in order to make sure I don't have to deal with both bears, we need to get the non-elite out of there, so Hale is going to make them swap positions. She's going to choose these two and poison them both. So that is going to be somewhere to be, and that's going to generate wind. All right, that's step 1. Step 2 is to get the rats in there. They are an ally. Within 2, they have move 2, attack 2. Just need to make sure, and let's just remove this tree for a second. Just need to make sure that they don't enter a hex next to Hale. So much like a push, every movement has to be away. She says, get out of here. The rats move, and now they get to do a 2 attack. Of course, that attack will be with Anaphi's deck, since they belong to Anaphi. The enemy is poisoned, so 3 attack against 1 shield. Times 2. Wouldn't you know it? Okay, but that's going to be 6 damage. Minus the shield is 5 damage. Still more than enough to kill it. And hey, managed to get 1 kill so far. All right, so that'll do it for Hale. Now the bears are up, starting with the elite. It is going to be a move 3, and for him, attack 3, so he'll hop in here. Important to note that space to the north of him is not a space that can be entered. It's a door, and it's locked. So that does limit some of my flexibility, my mobility, but what can you do? All right, now that will do it for Hale, and the bears are up. Starting with the elite, he's going to move 3, attack 3 with a wound. So he'll move right up here next to Satha, doing a 3 attack, which is going to be -1. So 2 damage is going to knock her down to 7, and she takes a wound. Now, for the non-elite bear, there is no path that can get him to Satha, so his target is going to be Anaphi, and he's just got 3 movement, so 1, 2, 3. I should also mention, not that it much matters, because I don't know where she'd be going, but Satha is immobilized from the bear attack. So it had been my intention to have Satha move east a little bit and get up in the enemy's faces, but that's not going to happen. So since she's immobilized and that space is occupied, so I'm going to flip it around. She is going to do the 2 attack to the enemy right next to her, and she will be able to heal herself. So she takes a wound at the start of her turn, going down to 6, back up to 7, healing the wound, and a 2 attack against the bear. We do have a couple curses in there, so nothing's guaranteed, but 3 damage is going to be more than enough to take it out. Second part for Satha's turn is going to be bring them down, so she will be able to do a 2 attack at range 3, so I'm going to have her target the non-elite, see if we can't take him out. She'll also be able to strengthen an ally within 3, and that ally will be the rats, who are going to be going up next, so they're strengthened. And now the attack. To attack, we need a 0. Actually, we need a +1 or better to take this guy out. It's a -1, so it's actually no damage. And she will generate frost, although her frost-using cards are in the discard pile, so that's probably not going to have any bearing. Although, if I don't use that wind, I could potentially kill an enemy with 3 elements out, fulfill my battle goal for the ritualist. But let's see how things go. Anaphi's up next, but before she goes, her monstrous sewer rats will go first. They have move 3, so they can get to a couple of targets. They're going to move to the closer one, which is the bears. So they'll circle back around this way, and that is going to be a 2 attack with advantage, thanks to Satha, and +1 from the poison, thanks to Hale. Here we go. Starting off with a 3 attack is either a -1 or a -1 is 2 damage. And much as I would like to go ahead and take out that cave bear by having my summons attack again, I'm a little concerned about Satha, who's at 7 health and about to take 3 attacks of 3 each. So what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to play it safe. I'm not going to be able to summon my other summons because I'm not close enough, but I will go ahead and have him move 2, and then he'll fire off a heal 3 for Satha, which will get her back up to 10 and generate darkness. Oh, hey, look, there's 3 elements out there strong. They'll all still be around there next turn. And I do have a 7 initiative, so I think I will be able to achieve my battle goal and kill that cave bear very quickly next turn. Now the forest imps are up, and this one will just move. They're all targeting Satha, each with a 3 attack, 2 curses incoming. So we will start with this guy who took a damage down to 5 and is muddled. So disadvantage, that is a +1 or a miss. So that is good to see. Next attack is going to be +1. That's 4 damage. And from the non-elite is another +1, 4 more damage. She's down to 2. Good thing she healed. That is going to do it for round 3, and Satha in danger. We're going to have to get her some healing next turn. She may have to lose some cards. We shall see. So I'm going to have Anaphi go on 7. I'm going to have her go on 8. I would have Hale go earlier, but her only other card is in 95. So she'll be going much later and be able to throw out a little bit of healing. We'll see how the board looks on her turn. But let's go ahead and check out the enemies. You can see, so we got 7, 8, and 76. Just the 1 cave bear, poisoned at 2 health, so hopefully he'll go down fast. Forest imp, still 3 of them up at 5, 6, and 2, though one of the elites is wounded. And when are they going? Nothing special for the forest imps on 37. Nothing special for the cave bears, or cave bear, on 41. First things first, the sewer monstrosity is going to go ahead and do an attack on the cave bear. It's a base 2 attack with the poison, will be a 3 attack. That will be a 3 + 1 is 4. The bears are dead, and again, that credit for that kill goes to Anaphi. There are 3 elements waning, so Anaphi has achieved his battle goal. Yeah, I'm actually not clear why with Tiber's tenacity, actually it should happen. If the heal is granted, it should happen now, just like somebody would attack out of turn. So it's not really clear to me why it's just not a heal ally 4 within range 2, but either way, she heals herself from 2 back up to 6. She's got an extra shield. Also generated light and fire, which means there are actually 5 extra active elements now, which is pretty crazy. That's that card, and then nothing to stun nearby, but I can go ahead and do a 3 movement. I think I'll continue to let Satha get beat on, so we'll just go up here and claim this coin with the movement, and it will now be Satha's turn. Satha with Shared Glory, I'm just going to use it for movement. I'm going to move up 1 so I can get next to these enemies. I will also grab the loot at the end of her turn. And so then I can go ahead with the Wolfpack tactics, and she will be able to attack for 2, and then I'll be able to grant an ally the ability to attack for 2. I can have Anaphi do that attack, and again, he's still got his augment up that allows him to attack from her location. So we'll start with her attack on, let's see if we can't take out the smaller imp. Gonna take a little luck here. Base attack of 2 + 1. Got the luck I needed. Now Anaphi gets to do an attack. It'll be against the elite, so which has a condition on it. So once again, working towards that mastery. I think that's 4 times I've done it now, and of the 8 I have to do it. So that attack will also be a 2 against shield 1 and -1, so no damage. That will generate frost, last but not least, refreshing that. Now the forest imps will attack. He'll move away so that he's not disadvantaged, and they will both attack. A 2 attack with yet another curse, and against 1 shield. So here we go. First attack is going to be a 2 + 1 is 3 with the shield, so that's 2 damage. The next one is going to be another 2 damage, knocking her back down to 2. Hale sees these forest imps just continually cursing and wailing away on Satha, and That's kind of piqued her interest. She has a fleeting interest as she will go ahead. She's got 2 irritation. She will use them both so that she can do a 5 attack at range 4. It's actually range 5. And she will not lose the card and gain an XP. And that is going to target the elite. Furthermore, I will have her use her simple bow, so this attack will be at advantage. It's either going to be a 0 or a -1. It is a 0, which against the 1 shield is 4 damage, which is exactly enough to kill the forest imp. Then she'll use Interesting Specimen to throw up a big heal on Satha, which will get her back up to 3. And still got that 1 enemy out there, but hopefully we can turn the tide of battle in our favor. That is going to do it for round 4. Round 5, just 1 enemy left, and for this round, these are, for the most part, don't have a lot of choice of cards. To keep her battle goal going, Hale is going to take a long rest. She still hasn't moved. She's hanging out. She'll catch up eventually. Until they get the door open, what's the point? As for the others, we'll see if we can start to put some pressure on that very annoying forest imp. All right, we're going on 31 and 33. Will it be fast enough? Let's find out. It will be, as a Dark Charm on 43. Yet more cursing, so hopefully we can take it out. We'll have to see. Satha's up first, and while I'd really like to heal, I really do not want to get all those extra curses. If there's any shot of taking this out, I gotta go for it. And it's only attacking for a 1, so I can afford to not use the heal. Instead, I will just use a move 4 to get up next to this thing, and then I will do a 3 attack. So let's see what that is. 3 attack against 1 shield. There's a lot of curses in there, and not even one of the curses, just a plain old miss. Too good to have an ally within range 3, move 3, so I'm going to have Anaphi move up so that I can get right up in its face so that I can poison it. The sewer monstrosity will go first, and with its 3 movement, we'll be able to dash up to this thing and go ahead and do a 2 attack. That is going to be -2. We are not having the best luck, but let's move on. Nafi will stay where he is. This is probably going to be the end of my ill-fated attempt at Satha's mastery, but it was worth a shot. At least I'll be able to start distributing damage elsewhere. In any event, we'll go ahead and poison it, and then I can have the rats do a +1 attack, so it'll be a base 3 attack. Unfortunately, I don't have the wind, so don't think I have any shot at taking this out. 3 attack is going to be +2, so because it's by a summons, so it's going to be 5, but it's got a shield, so it's just going to be down to 2. So for the forest imp, you can see it is going to be doing a Dark Charm, move 3, attack 1. It can burn an element to do the extra target. So that being the case, of course, its focused is Satha. It'll move away, and then it will target the monstrosity, since that's earlier in the initiative. So first, a 1 attack against Satha is going to be +1, so 2 damage, and that is really going to piss off Hale. So she's actually at least going to gain some irritation. She goes from 1 irritation up to 2, and she wasn't going to gain any this round because she is long resting. But that is going to bring Satha down to 1 health. And now the attack against the monstrosity is going to be a 1 + 1. So I'll go ahead, timely, use the Warden's Robes to give the summons 2 shields so they do not take any damage. However, that's going to be, if I even have enough left, that's 2 curses in Satha's deck and 2 curses in Anaphi's deck. Did forget Anafi, since I hadn't killed this thing, I definitely need to take it out next turn, and I don't want to rely on just the rats to do that, so I am going to have Anafi take a short rest. For Anafi's short rest, I randomly lost Touch of Atrophy. I kept my Augment in play because I'll have an even number of cards afterwards, so might as well leave that out, can continue to attack from where an ally is. And for the long rest for Hail, tough call, but I decided to get rid of Gather Reagents. So losing the looting card, losing the potential lockdown card. Everything else just seems more useful right now. So that she will get her bow back. It has not taken any damage, so it doesn't have to heal, but that is going to do it for round 5. For round 6, my plan is to take out that very irritating Forest Imp. I'm going to have Anafi take care of that on 7, hopefully be able to have the sewer monstrosity rush up and kill it. And just in case it misses, I do have a couple of curses in there. I've got that 7 card out, which I can go ahead and attack again. And then I'm also going to drop down another summons. For Hail, she's going to collect some loot, get irritated some more, and just teleport over in place, get her ready for next round. Finally, Satha is going to take a much-needed, much-deserved long rest. We'll kick things off with Anaphi on 7, but before Anaphi goes, it is going to be the Sewer Monstrosity, which will make its way up and go ahead and do a 2 attack plus 1 from the poison. So a 3 attack against 1 shield. That's actually going to be a 5 attack, and that is going to take out the Forest Imp. That's actually going to be the 3rd kill for the Sewer Monstrosity, so I am 1/3 of my way towards Anafi's Mastery. The other 2 are going to be a bit trickier to get since they only have a base attack of 1 each, but let's give ourselves a shot and at least get another summons into play. We'll summon it right up over here. I'm going to have to paint that miniature. I figured the Sandworm from Dune Imperium seemed the perfect miniature for the Harrower's Grasp. As for the other card, don't need to attack anything, but I do get to move the rats, at least 3. So I'll get them into position. We'll go 1, 2, 3. They'll jump over here. So now my plan for next round will be to have Satha go first, go into the room, kind of opening up the path for the summons to then work their way in. Next up is Hail, and she's going to teleport, actually 3 instead of 4, and then she'll go ahead and play Interesting Specimen at the end of turn. That'll give her 1 irritation going up to 3. Then at the end of her turn, she'll loot the token she's on, which will get her up to 4 irritation. Then she'll be able to get that free extra movement at the beginning of her next turn, moving on to the next piece of loot. Round 7, and things are going to get interesting as we are going to open the door. I plan on having Satha go first. I've got Frost and Wind available, so she's going to be able to use that Frost to probably ward herself, and on the other side, heal herself. That way, she should be in good position to hopefully, I'll use my first movement to open the door and then see where I want to end up based on what the enemies are behind that door and what they're doing. For Hail, she's put herself into position to fire off a big attack and also potentially to get some enemies in there to attack. And last but not least, we've got a bunch of summons out in play, and Anafi is not going to be playing another summon. I've got that 4 down for a move 4 just so he can position, and then being able to do a couple of attacks. But really the main reason that I chose that card, the move 4, is not for the movement. It's because it's a 72. It's his only high card left remaining that he's got right now. And I do want to go towards the end of the round so that if there are enemies, hopefully they have a chance to advance, get a little bit closer before the summons charge in. Satha will kick things off by healing herself from 3 back to 6. And then we'll go ahead, have 3 movement. So I'll use the first one to jump on the door and see what's inside. Well, can't say I'm surprised about what's behind here. Can't say I'm thrilled either. Similar configuration, 6 enemies. We have 2 more cave bears, 1 elite, 1 normal, 4 more forest imps, 2 elite, 2 normal. all ready to cause me all sorts of trouble. Lots of obstacles in here to navigate around. A couple of thorns, which is hazardous terrain, so that's 2 damage. Will only affect the cave bears or my characters. It will not affect the flying forest imps. So need to keep that in mind. Still have 2 movement, not to mention the ability to give myself ward. But before I do that, let's take a look at what the enemies are doing. All right, so you can see here, Satha's going now. We've got Hail going on 70, Anaphi on 72. For the enemies, nothing special for the forest imps on 37, and Claw Swipe for the cave bear on 61. I am actually glad that they're moving because, yes, I'm going to take an attack, but I'm going to be able to also do a lot more damage since they are. Given that the cave bears are going to be looking to attack 2 targets, no reason to let them do that by moving any further in the room. So I am just going to stay where I am, and 1 movement's fine. I will consume the frost to go ahead and ward Satha. Now the forest imps are up. Unfortunately, going before the cave bears. It'd be great if it were the other way around, but it's not. So they are all going to move up 3. Well, this one only needs to move 1, is going to hop right here on top of this shrubbery. Just have to remember that's there. And do an attack 2 against Satha. I guess the only good news here is she cannot be cursed because she's already got 8 curses in her deck. There are 2 curses in Anaphi's deck. It's the little things. And this will be a 2 attack, which is going to be a +1. So it is a 3, which I will have down to 1. I'm not sure of the order in which this happens, if I do armor before or after. I think probably after. I'm going to say it is because I am getting beat on. I will use 1 armor to knock it from 1 down to 0. All the other forest imps are going to move 3, and that is what it's going to look like once they're done moving. Next up, the cave bear will move 4 and do a 3 attack with wound. So 1, 2, 3. And we'll go ahead and draw that. That's a 3 attack. Hey, I finally got a miss. It does, however, cause a wound. And I've gone ahead and moved the other cave bear, who will end up over here. And that is going to do it for the enemies. And now we can go ahead and finish off the round with our characters. Hail will be first, and she will kick off the round with Interesting Specimen, which allows her to move 2. So she'll move up onto that coin. Now, starting her turn proper, she will go ahead and do a 5 attack, range 4. So she's able to hit the cave bear, will also cause a wound, and she will spend 2 of her 4 irritation, so that's not lost. I will use her simple bow to give her advantage. I considered maybe using the stun powder, but this thing has a lot of health and hits hard. That said, I have a lot of attacks coming in, plus next round I could go early initiative. I think I'm going to be able to take this out before it has a chance to go, so I'll save the stun powder. Let's go ahead and do a 5 attack, either a +1 or a -1. I'll take the +1 for 6 damage. Now, for Leave Me Alone, I'm actually going to have Anaphi be the ally I choose to move to and attack to. I'm just going to have Anaphi move up here. Could have him move into the loot, but Hale wants that loot. So we'll move Anaphi over there, and then, again, remember, Anaphi is able to attack, still has that augment up for the shadows, so he can attack wherever an ally is adjacent. Satha is adjacent to the bear, so we'll go ahead and do a 2 attack against the bear. Because it's wounded, this will be the 5th time he has attacked an enemy that already has a negative condition. Base 2 attack, +1, 3 damage. That's going to bring the cave bear from 11 down to 8. It has been quite a while since I played with multiple summons, but I double checked. It is as I remembered that they take their turns in the order they were put into play, from oldest to newest. So the senior summons is the sewer monstrosity, so that will go ahead and move 2 into position through the door, then up to here to go ahead and attack the cave bear. And that attack is going to be a 2 attack. Then it'll be a 1 attack at range. The Harrower actually doesn't have to move. It's range 3. So I'll go ahead and resolve both those attacks. So base 2 attack is going to be, there's a curse, so that is a miss. Then we'll go ahead and do the other attack, a base 1 attack. There's another curse. At least we got him out of the deck. Of course, that means that the Forest Imps are going to be putting them back in people's decks. All right, now Anaphi's turn. I will do Phantasmal Flurry, consuming the wind, which will give me an XP and allow me to increase the damage, get an extra target. So it's going to be a 2 attack, and I will... again, Anaphi's the one doing it, so, but as if in the position of, in this case, the sewer monstrosity. So I can do a 2 attack against the cave bear, and then because of this card, which lets me do it up to 1 away, I can also attack the forest imp, and both will be muddled. First, the attack on the cave bear, base 2, is going to be 2 damage. Now the attack on the forest imp is going to be 1, so no damage. The last bit is I do have a move 4. There would be some advantages to my actually moving out here, but I think I am just going to stay where I am. Going into round 8, I'm going to focus on these 2 enemies right in front of me. Going to be a little suboptimal with Satha, who is going to help Hale continue to work on her mastery goal. So maybe not the best option to be looting right now, but I do want to keep that going, and Hale's going to be doing other things, causing lots of mayhem, switching enemies, wounding enemies. Probably won't need to stun again, can hold on to that. We'll see how things develop. And Anaphi also going to be able to getting all those summons in attacking. You can see here I've actually got Satha going on 26 instead of 8. That way I want her to go after Hale. Hale will be going on 10, Anaphi on 15. The enemies on Cave Bear's a hasty assault on 13. Ugh, that is not good. Forest Imp, nothing special on 37. All right, unfortunate, as I was hoping to kill that cave bear before it had a chance to go. Probably not going to be the case. Okay, so at the start of Hale's turn, she does have 2 movement, so I will move her up over here next to that coin. Now, she gets to swap 2 enemies. I would love to be able to get that cave bear as far from here as possible, potentially swap it all the way up here. The problem with that is that one is flying on top of an obstacle. Cannot teleport into a spot that it couldn't normally occupy, so I'm not allowed to do that. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to swap these 2. And at least then I'll be in a better position to deal some damage to that guy. But doing that, I do get to poison them both and generate air. Then for the second part of Hale's turn, she's going to do bizarre antics on the bottom. She's going to do a 1 attack with wound, 3 away, targeting the guy just teleported in there. So with the poison, that will be a 2 attack. And I am going to go ahead and spend 1 of my 2 irritation, so that instead of wounding myself and those adjacent, I will ward them. That will give Hale her 2nd XP, and the attack, again, 2 against 1 shield, times 2, so 4, 3 damage to that guy. I feel like it's quite different from my other crew, where I'm up to the point where I'm dealing 16 points of damage on a single attack. 4 is pretty hard to come by with this crew, at least with the configuration early level, but I'll take it. Next up will be the Cave Bears with their Hasty Assault. We'll start with this one, who will go 1, 2, 3, and attack the Sewer Monstrosity. This is going to be a base 3 attack at disadvantage, so either a -1 or -1. So it's going to be 2 damage. Sewer Monstrosity is warded, so it'll just take 1 damage. Now the other cave bear will come rampaging in with his 5 movement. He will go into the thorns, even though it will do 2 damage to him. It's the only place he can go to get off an attack on an enemy. And not a good sign for the summons, as we'll go ahead and do a 2 attack. +1 is 3, and that is going to take him out. Anaphi is up next, and unfortunate that the rats are no longer there. It would have been so many good targets. Did not survive, but the Harrower, and that probably would have been a reason to have Anaphi move up. I just didn't anticipate the cave bears going that quickly. So misstep on my part, but let's see if we can come through it, as the Harrower will go ahead and do a ranged attack against the Forest Imp. So normally 1 attack, but with the poison, a 2 attack. So that is going to be 2 minus 1 is 1. Against shields, does no damage. Does muddle, though. Right. If at first you don't succeed, try again. I will go ahead and use Anguish to have the Harrower attack again. It'll be +1 from the poison 2 and +1 from the Anguish effect, so that's a 3. And then we'll also consume the air to give it Pierce. So incoming is a 3 attack, which is going to be just enough to take that guy out. And now Anaphi will go ahead and do Sickening Betrayal, a 1 attack with pull 2, range 3, so I can hit the bear, so that will be +1 from poison, so a 2 attack, and it'll generate wind. And that is going to be just 2 damage, bringing the cave bear down to 3. So getting close to killing that. And also the Harrower did notch its first kill. So who knows? We continue to move along with that potential mastery goal. Also, once again, Anaphi did target an enemy with a negative condition. Done that 6 times, just needs to do it 2 more to work towards that mastery goal. Again, which I have to do in 3 scenarios, but be good if I could knock out this one. That's looking good so far, but now it is time for Satha to go. Satha's going to go ahead and use Wolfpack tactics. I don't know. There's all those curses in there, but you never know. I might hit. Also, at the start of Satha's turn, she is going to take wound damage, which will be prevented by the ward. So she remains at 6, still wounded. Now we can do a 2 melee attack using the Iron Spear to target, we'll actually target the non-elite and see how we do with that. 2 attack. And what do you know? It's a miss. A curse. But, however, we will generate frost. Of course, the other part is an ally within range 3 can go ahead and make attack. So let's have the Harrower go ahead and take a 2 attack on the elite cave bear, also poisoned. So this will be a 3 attack, and with a little luck, another kill. Yeah, 4 damage. So amazingly, the Harrower is picking up right where the sewer monstrosity left off, and now has notched its 2nd kill. So who can think about loot at a time like this? Both Satha and Hale, it would seem. Satha's going to go ahead and share the glory. She is going to loot 1 to grab that coin. She is then going to grant loot 1 to Hale, who is going to be able to loot this coin down here. Which is also going to keep her streak going. She will go from up to 2 irritation from 1 and keep her mastery goal going. Since the ally was able to loot, that means that Satha is going to get an extra piece of loot. And now, normally a Frosthaven, it would be a loot token, but I think it's fair to say, playing Gloomhaven, just a coin. Now the Forest Imps are up, doing a 2 attack at range 3, also 3 movement. The Forest Imp here, the elite, does not need to move, has range 3 on Satha. So we will go ahead and attack. It will be at disadvantage. So either a 0 or 1. That's a 0. I'll use my armor a 2nd time. So just 1 damage dealt to Satha. And now the other 2 imps will move up. This one will go 1, 2, 3. Not in range to attack. This one, however, can go 1, 2, 3, does manage to get just in range 3. So here comes another 2 attack, straight up 2 damage, bringing Satha down to 3. So Satha continues to walk that tightrope of getting knocked down very low in health. She's at 3, she's still wounded. We will get her a heal next turn so that she can get hit and take more damage. But that's going to do it for round 8. We'll wane these 2 elements, both of which I may be able to use next turn, and we will get ready to advance to round 9. So for round 9, my main decision point really comes down to what cards I'm going to have Satha play. Since for the others, they're out of cards. So these are their last 2 options remaining. I'll go as fast as I can and see what the enemies are doing, kind of figure out from there. Satha decided to go for a double attack. Yeah, I have 8 curses in there. Odds are not great, but I need to burn them out at some point. I need to take shots. I have the frost up. I can do a pretty good attack. And I can also make ally attacks better with the move card, so that is, I think, going to be my best play to give it a shot. And if luck is on our side, we will take some enemies out. As you can see, 12, 16, and 68, Satha getting very low at 3 health, but we should be able to heal that wound before she goes again. And now for the enemies. Phase out for the Forest Imp. So much for luck being on my side. Cave Bear then going on 14 faster than Satha. Move 3, attack 2, immobilize. All right, well, we will do the best we can. So the imps will go first. They're not moving. They're just phasing out, giving themselves a whole mess of shields. I do get to choose the element. It doesn't really matter. Night is the only one I could possibly use. I'm not even sure. Actually, I would be able to use that. So, but I'll generate night, and that is going to do it for the sprites. Now, Anaphi is up. One thing that does work out well for me here is that the Harrower is going to target the bear. So be able to get some damage in and muddle it. So here we go, just a 1 attack, and times 2. So 2 damage to the bear and muddled. Now for Anaphi's turn, and the one plus side here, knowing that only the bears are going to be attacking, they're already muddled, there's no reason for me to even consider doing the disadvantage option. So I can go ahead and do the better heal. So I will go ahead, do a 4 heal, generate 2 more elements. Once again, I have 5 elements on the board. So I am going to go ahead and just move 2, put myself in position. I'm still at 9 health, hasn't taken any damage. I can certainly afford to do that. I would like to get the robe backs in theory, but the fact of the matter is the Harrower is always going to be farther behind. Don't really have to worry about taking damage. And when I do get the other summons into play, they have 7 health and heal every turn. So not as essential, but knowing that to keep her battle goal going, Hale is going to be long resting. I don't want to have just one character up against 3 or 4 enemies. So I will go ahead now and take a short rest. With the short rest, I actually drew Endless Biting. If I do want a chance to achieve the mastery, I cannot afford to lose that. I didn't bring the card that lets me get back a lost summons. So I did take a damage, and I ended up losing, unfortunately, my other 4 movement. And I'm going to need a lot of movement to get through here, but I am hopeful that Satha will be able to help out with that, using her ability to let other characters move so that we can make our way to the library itself. And I'm back. At least a picture of me. You can hear my voice. I don't know how long my camera was off for, but here I am. One other thing on the short rest, I actually did leave the augment, Striking from the Shadows, in play because I forgot I had put another summons into play this turn. So I had 7 cards in my discard pile. Now I've got 6 cards. No reason to get the augment back. Next up will be the Cave Bear, who doesn't need to move. We'll just target Anaphi with a plain old 2 attack for 2 damage, bringing him down to 6. Satha is up next now on 16. So I will go ahead and do the 2 attack, which is going to add +1 to ally attacks. We'll get to that in a little bit, but I'm going to move up here. I will be able to loot this coin. And now I can do 2 attack. I can burn the wind, so it's a 3 attack against the bear, which I can certainly damage. Against the imp, probably not. It has 7 shields. So, but with any luck, maybe I will draw a curse on that attack. We'll do the first attack against the bear. Feeling lucky. And all right, -1, still 2 damage. Gonna bring that guy from 7 down to 5. So bit by bit, we're taking him down. And then the next attack will be, here's hoping for a curse. No, but a rolling modifier. Grant 1 ally the ability to move 2. All right, that could come in handy. And then the rest of the attack, there we go. All right. Things are starting to work out as we have burned off a curse, and now I need to figure out who I want to move and where. So this actually works out really well for Hale, because with the new irritation she's putting into play, she just wants to end where she started. So that's starting not at the beginning of the round, but at the beginning of her turn. So I can go ahead and do that 2 movement, kind of get her up closer, more involved in the action, without messing up any of her plans. Boy, this is a really interesting decision point for Hale, that I thought this would be pretty straightforward. I would just be able to do a 4 attack. It is going to be boosted by Satha's ability, because reading the strict reading of the text says the first time an ally attacks an enemy you are adjacent to. So while some of the allies have already attacked, like the Harrower, at the time it was not against an enemy adjacent. So attacking now against one of these enemies, I'm pretty sure it will be the first time. So I think the +1 qualifies. So either way, so I was looking at doing a 5 attack against a bear, and if I draw a 0 better, then I take it out. Great. And Hale then puts down her other card. She doesn't move. She gets loot. That all works out. However, there is another option, which is I flip it around. I can grant multiple attacks. So I could do 2, maybe even 3 attacks. I might do 3 attacks, kind of ensuring I'll definitely be able to get the bear out. I can have all the allies move and attack. And then I would be able to bless somebody. Or I could do 2 attacks, and I would be able to bless and put on some other preventive conditions. Being able to prevent a curse could be really nice. The downside to that is, in order for that to happen, Hale would then have to move. Well, the bear definitely has to die, and then Hale has to move into the thorns. Not a big deal. She'll just take 1 damage. That way she'd be able to get the loot after the bear drops it. But the bear has to die for that to happen. She picks up the loot. It occurs to me I will be able to move her again while she's long resting, if I leave that card in play. Potentially getting more loot, potentially getting more irritation. So I'm strongly considering going that route. All right, so Hale is going to have an odd number of cards in her discard pile, which means I think I'm best off. I can just leave her irritation card in play, the loot one. So, that being the case, I think my best bet is to go ahead and do multiple attacks and see what I can do with it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move forward with Can't Be Bothered, and I'm going to do it twice because I think the prevention of the safeguard and the ward are pretty important. So I've got 2 irritation to spend. I will spend 1, allowing me to use the ally move and attack ability twice, and then I'll go ahead and decide who I want to buff up. So ideally, the Harrower will be able to do the killing blow on the cave bear, so we'll actually have Anaphi attack first. Can move 2, but he'll just stay where he is and do a 3 attack. And that 3 attack is going to be, well, it's going to be a bless. So, well, I'm very glad that I took out the cave bear. I'm not going to lie, a little bit disappointed that I am not going to be able to give that kill credit. That would have been the 3rd kill for the Harrower, alas. Well, that was the first one. Now, I will still command the Harrower. I have a choice. I could also command Satha just to try and potentially burn another curse out of her deck, but better do the Harrower because I can move the Harrow up a bit. I'll move 2 up here into the corner, and then I can do, again, it inherits, it's still a ranged attack, so I can do a ranged 3 attack and target the one that is not muddled, so I can go ahead and muddle the elite. Pretty sure it's going to, yeah, it's a -1, I mean, against 7 shields anyway. So, but the elite is muddled, and that is also going to give an XP to Hale. All right, then Hale gets to move 2, which she will do, moving into the thorns. The things she'll do for loot. That will, she doesn't get the loot yet, she will at the end of the turn, which also will end up giving her another irritation at the end of the turn, keeping the streak going. So she'll still be at 1. But right now she does still have 1 left, so she's going to strengthen. The strengthen is going to go on Satha. The more we can burn through her deck. Also, even more importantly, I do want to get back to Satha being the front line taking attacks, and so having some of the protections therein. So I will spend, as I said, to spend an irritation to gain an XP, and also give Satha safeguard and ward. Also, Hale will gain another XP for that, and like I said, she takes 2 damages going into the Thorn, but she did have ward up, so she just takes 1 damage, down to 8. That'll do it for round 9. We're making slow and steady progress. Still a ways to go, but as long as I don't have to burn cards and I'm judicious with how I play, I've got a good 20 turns in me. So this one might be a marathon, but we'll get to see a lot of what these characters can do. I'll go ahead and wane these 3 elements I have no intention of using, tick up the round counter to 10, and we will continue on. So for this round, with Hale temporarily out of the action, but not entirely, because she's still got her irritation in play that allows her to move and potentially loot, we're going to go really fast. Hopefully they're not doing their crazy shield thing again. I didn't even check to see if that's a reshuffle, but it's going to be Anaphi leading off on a 7. Main reason I want Anaphi to go first is to clear out the immobilize. So won't be able to move on his turn, but with the card I'm planning on playing for Satha, that will be able to move him up. So hopefully get the heat off of Hale. Not that I'm too worried about her taking a little bit of damage or even a curse, but would be my preference for that not to be the case. And with advantage, hopefully Satha can connect and take out one of these smaller imps. So with Anaphi, I had a couple choices for which to go with the card other than 7, which the top card I'm going to be using. I think poisoning one of these imps, having it self-poison and attack, is probably my best bet if I want to be able to give the Harrower its best chance at another kill. That'll kind of set me up for next turn, where I can give the Harrower a 2 attack plus 1 from the poison. Checking out status here, again, 7 and 11. Hale on 99 is long resting. You can see I've got everybody's conditions up. Actually, Satha, just to have it there. We'll also note that Satha is strengthened, so we will go ahead and draw Forest Imps, Rotten Sting. Haven't seen that before. So they're going to be poisoning, just a 1 attack, consuming an element of which there are plenty for an extra target. So could be a lot of poison running around, but at least I get to go first and maybe take at least one of them out. First up will be the Harrower, who is going to go ahead and just do its 1 attack with Muddle against a sprite that's already muddled. That's going to be the non-elite. All right, here's the attack. Just an attack 1 plus 2. Wow. So my luck is definitely turning, as the Harrower has just eliminated that. That is 3 damage against 1 shield, 2 health. Has taken that guy off the board. That is the 3rd kill for the Harrower, and this may actually be possible to do this mastery, although I am going to need to get my other rats into play to have a chance. Next up is Anaphi himself, and I was going to do the Sickening Betrayal. I was going to target the non-elite, have him attack the elite or the other one, so that he would poison himself. That said, having already killed one of them, and with a 3 attack with advantage coming in for Satha, potentially being able to kill that guy, I think it's worth a shot. I am going to flip it around, not to mention, so I am going to use Sickening Betrayal to control the elite, and have the elite attack the non-elite. That will also give a curse to the monster deck, which feels like just the smallest amount of retribution and poetic justice. So it will be a 2 attack. It will be at disadvantage. That's the one downside. But here we go. 2 attack at disadvantage is either going to be a 0 or a ×2. So I couldn't have asked for better than that, because now the ×2 is not coming at me. That is going to be 2 damage, dropping. That's going to drop the non-elite down to 1, put a curse in the deck, and poison the elite. Of course, Anaphi cannot move as he's immobilized, and sadly does not have the air to burn to disarm the sprite. And yes, I know I keep calling them sprites. They're forest imps, one and the same to somebody that's played as much D&D as me. Next up will be Satha, who's probably going to take a long rest next turn. I think I'm going to leave the enemies in my allies' I think I'm going to leave the elite in my allies' capable hands. So I'm going to use my full move 4 to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And of course, by moving this far away, the elite's going to target other people's, but I know that I still have stone constructs that I'm going to be facing inside the library. I imagine they hit pretty hard, so having my protections against them probably going to be a better use of them than these sprites who are not attacking very hard, just won this round. So hopefully I can take this out. Let's go ahead and do the 3 attack. Again, with advantage, thanks to hail. First is 0, good enough. Times 2. I guess I should have targeted the elite. That is not how I wanted things to go. I was hoping with that advantage I would have lost a curse. I did not, but look, the enemy's dead, very dead. The end result is what matters the most. Right, now I can have an ally within range 3, and I forgot to look at the range. So I'm just going to back up Satha, just do a move 2 to get to that spot so that I can target Anaphi, who is no longer immobilized, giving him a move 3, so he'll go 1, 2, 3, which is going to make him the target for the sprites instead of Satha, instead of hail. Last but not least, I will generate frost for that. And that's going to do it for her. So now we can go to the sole remaining forest imp. Forest imps are going to do a Rotten Sting, which is just going to be a 1 attack. It'll give poison. It's already at disadvantage from the muddle, so no reason to move. It'll stay right where it is, which is kind of unfortunate, because if it drops loot here, it'll drop it on the shrub. But we'll go ahead, attacking at disadvantage. Unfortunate. Well, a +1 or a +1, but again, I think something that grants an ability. Actually, look, I know what the rules say, but in this case, that is definitely the worst result for the monsters. So I'm probably breaking the rules. I think, strictly speaking, if it does any kind of thing, it's marginally better. Therefore, the straight disadvantage would be the 1. But truth of the matter is, like I said, the worst thing here is for is for hail to get irritated. So that's what I'm doing. That will be 2 damage to Anaphi, bring him down to 4. He's poisoned, and now he's got a curse in his deck. Next up is Hail, who on 99 is taking a long rest, but taking a long rest doesn't mean you can't do anything. It just means you didn't play any cards. You can still, if equipment is relevant, you can use it, and you can still use granted abilities. That's a thing in 2nd edition. Some characters have granted abilities that allow them to do things during a long rest. So, because she still has interesting specimen in play, she is going to go ahead and has 2 moves. She's just going to move 1, grab this loot, which is the first time she's looted this round. She'll gain another irritation up to 3. She'll then heal back up to 9, and I'm going to leave my irritation in play, and this is the card I'm going to lose. Pretty easy choice compared to the others. I want to keep all my irritation generation. I've got that one that gets better every time you use it, every time you kill an enemy, so I kind of want to hold on to that, see if I can capitalize on that by the end of the game, as well as just some of her better attack cards. But first I need to backtrack. I forgot that the Forest Imp would also consume an element to fire off an attack at another target. That's going to be the other nearest target, which in this case would be Hail. So Hail is going to take an attack at disadvantage, either a +1 or a +2. So where this changes things was Hail was at 8. She's going to take 2 damage, going down to 6, and be poisoned, and then heal her poison. So Hail is at 6 now, but no longer poisoned. And then just finishing out the round, these 2 will wane down, and we've still got Frost available next turn, and now we are ready for round 11. And for the Forest Imps this turn, it is going to be on 42, so we get to go first. They're just going to be healing, and they've got poison. So a worst case scenario, if I don't kill them, I'll have to take them out next round, but they'll still have suffered whatever damage I deal to them. Hail will be up first. First things first, we'll just use a generic from the 13 to move her 2 up to grab this coin, which she'll be able to loot and increase her irritation at the end of the round. keeping that going. And then we will go ahead and I will do a 5 attack at range 4 against the elite, 6 attack with the poison. I will use her simple bow once again for advantage. And that is going to be either a -1 or a -1. So that was a 5 attack plus the poison made it 6. With the -1 modifier is a 5, then the shield's 4 damage. So the Forest Imp is down to 2. And she will spend 2 irritation, dropping her down to 1, but then at the end of her turn, she'll loot that coin and go back up to 2. Well, this is too bad because I was hoping the Harrower, having no enemies to target, would start moving up, because it doesn't move that fast. But instead, he is going to stay right where he is and go ahead and attack. This will be a 1 attack, +1 the poison, a 2 attack. And that is going to be +1, 3. So the Harrower has sniped another one, kill number 4 for the Harrower, as the Forest Imp is dead. That will free Anaphi up to heal. I think I'll be economical about it. I will throw the 3 heal on Hale, getting her back up to 9. And then I will just do a generic, that'll generate Night. And then I'll do a generic move 2 to start making our way towards the library entrance. For Satha's short rest, she's going to heal 2, back up to 9. She'll get both of her items back. And she's got a lot of good movement, plus jump to get over that log up there. So, and I want her to still be able to give movement to her allies. So I will let this card go. Heading into round 12 and really round 13 as well, things will be pretty straightforward as we just need to get everybody across the map towards the library. Not too worried about the Harrower, if it catches up or not. Maybe I'll throw it some extra movement from Satha, but I do have it's not so straightforward. I do have a few things I need to figure out. I need to make sure that Hale is continuing to get irritated. Believe me, she's getting irritated that this is taking this long. They haven't even gotten to the library yet, but they'll get there eventually. And you know what? Hale being a bit irritated is good for everybody. Well, probably not for the enemies, but definitely good for us. And Satha, I have so many options. Having just rested, I kind of want to plan ahead and figure out what cards do I want in my hand when I actually enter the room. All right, so going into round 12, no need to show you the overview. There's no enemies, so we're just going to move through in the order I've set them up. Hale's going to go first on 10. She's got somewhere to be, and that somewhere is leave me the F alone. So she is going to, she's currently at 2 irritation. She's going to spend one of those down to 1, and she is going to teleport. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces away. So she's back here, comfortably, at least for the moment, closer to the library, far away from everybody else who's been annoying her. She'll gain an XP for that, and then she's going to go ahead and play Leave Me Alone, which will gain her 1 irritation up to 2, and then she will end her turn nowhere near anybody else, so she is up to 3 irritation. Next up, Satha is going to do an Emboldening Call. She is going to heal Anaphi for 3. So that'll just get rid of the poison, but it will also allow Anaphi to take a move 3. So 1, 2, 3, and so much for Hale's peace and quiet. It did not last very long. At least she had a moment by herself. Now we'll go ahead with Satha's movement, which is just going to be a move 3, 1, 2, 3. And that's going to do it for her turn. Finally, Anaphi will go. I chose the 72 so that he could go last in the round. First things and foremost, the Harrower will make its slow move towards him, moving 2. And then I will go ahead and on Anaphi's turn, return the favor. I will allow Satha to heal herself for 4 and shield herself. That's going to put her up to max. And then I will use my 4 movement to get him in position. 1, 2, 3, 4. So he is right by the door and ready to go. It's going to do it for round 12. We'll wane these elements that we're keeping track of that don't really matter and move things on to round 13. One more round of setup before we enter the library, starting with Satha, who will move 3 with a jump. So I'll hop over that log, getting us in position to barge in and see what's what. And then we'll do a shield, allow an ally to move. So we'll let Hail get just a little bit closer. And generate Frost, which may come in handy next turn. Not a very exciting turn for Hail, who's then going to be long resting, so really unexciting next turn. But she can't be bothered, so she is going to go ahead and put that into play, replacing the other irritation. She won't be moving this round. Again, it's the start of the round. She was already where she was. We'll just let the other card go with no effect, and she will gain another irritation. She's now up to 4. And you can say I haven't really been thinking about doing the masteries where I spend 3 irritation 3 rounds in a row. That's a whole other layer of complex that I do not want to think about this game. I thought if it's because you have to get up to 5, then down to 2, then back up to 4. It's then down to 1, then up to 3. It's pretty complicated. I think you have to do a lot of planning to make it happen. I'll worry about that next time. Finally, for Anaphi, finally gets to take a long rest. We'll finally get those Warden Robes back, heal 2, back up to 6. I will lose Nocturnal Frenzy. The other healing card is good enough. I feel like I'm okay on healing. I've got everyone pretty much back up where they need to be. That is a card I'm going to lose, and now everybody is ready to storm in. Just modifying the elements. These go down. This wanes, and we are ready for round 14 to bust in and see what's going on. Round 14, and before we get into it, just a few corrections. I've had a chance to go back over some of the video. First of all, my apologies to Anaphi. I think I put a comment in earlier, but I just realized that I have been misgendering her. I just assumed it was a he, but no, Anaphi is a she, so I'll get that right from here on out. A couple of other things. I made a mistake, which again I notated, but just go in more explanation when Anaphi is having enemies attack, that kind of mind control effect. They're always going to be a melee attack. I think I was doing it at a range, which you can't do. But if you're targeting a summons and the attack you grant the summons is a plus X attack, in that case, the summons does keep its range attack. So I'm pretty sure that I've done the Harrower right, but probably on at least one occasion did not handle it right with the enemies. And the last thing, which I was double checking over the masteries, and I had confused in Satha's mastery, which I'm not doing this game, having everybody move, she doesn't have to do it when she's long resting. And I thought that was the same for Hale, but no, Hale, in order to get her mastery, does have to gain an irritation every round, even when long resting. As it turns out, I've looked into it, because the first time that she rested, I happened to draw the card that gave her an irritation. And the second time I long rested, I did go ahead and I was able to move and loot. This is her third time long resting, and so I was going to take back the card I had in play to keep her with an even number of cards, but having realized that, I will keep it in play. She will not be moving, so she will gain another irritation and keep her mastery going. Now, for this round, I am going to have Anaphi open the door and lead things off, and then put down her rats. So, figure I'd take the movement that's going to give disadvantage. I don't know who's going to be taking the attacks yet. It really depends on what the layout of the enemy is, what they're doing. Satha's going very shortly thereafter, so good chance that she'll get to go in, and we can kind of see how the room looks to decide that. And of course, as I said, Hale going to be long resting. Anaphi will kick things off by kicking in the door, as she is going to use her move 3 to take a step in and see what's inside. So here's the situation. We've found the library, and unsurprisingly, there is a guardian. Just one stone golem, but it is powerful. It has 42 health, so you can see I've put that up there in the corner. Also, a bunch of forest sprites have made their way in here. Somebody has to be in the room when the arcane construct goes, or else it will heal. Not a problem. We are an intrepid group of adventurers. We are not going to run from combat. Before I check to see what the enemies are going to be doing, one other thing that I did forget to do was last round when Anaphi took a short rest, the summons should have moved. So I moved up with the Harrower 2. And again, now just before her turn, it should have moved again. So 1, 2, it will be there. Oh, there's one other rule, that the arcane construct has 2 shields. Every even round, its shields will reduce to 0, but it will double its movement and attack, which is very scary. But let's go ahead and see what the enemies are doing this round, which, for the purposes of that, will be an odd-numbered round. So, yeah, we're in round 14. It'll just be, we'll flip it around. Every odd-numbered round, it'll have the lower shields and the attack and movement bonus. All right, so taking a look at the enemies, we've got nothing special with the forest imps, which is still incredibly annoying, and the arcane construct moving 2 and attacking 5. So with that information, also, and they are going later in the round after all of my enemies, or after all of my people, maybe I should have let them go first. Maybe I back out of here. I'm going to take a look and see what my best bet is. So we are going to send everybody in, and yeah, we're going to draw a lot of fire. I'm not really going to be able to avoid the attacks. I wouldn't be able to get my summons in play if I backed out of the room. It would really be a wasted turn, and we don't want that. So we'll go ahead, and I'm going to bring in Anaphi, just one more space. And for the Dusk Rat Swarm, we can get those trusty rat miniature that I've been using for the Mind Thief. Works out pretty well here. Gain 1 XP for that. Rat's a good target because these guys are not hitting very hard, and he'll heal 1 for each. So that is going to do it for Anaphi's turn, and now Satha is up. Satha's going to go ahead and do a move 3, which is going to bring her right into the room, into the line of fire. She is also going to be able to consume the frost to go ahead and ward somebody, and I actually don't anticipate Anaphi taking much damage, so I'll go ahead and ward the rats. Then I can take a 2 attack at range 3. I might as well take a shot at this guy over here. That is going to be, wow, not a curse, and that's going to be 3 damage, which is going to take out a forest imp. That will also generate frost, and I'm going to go ahead and these lovable rats are also going to be blessed. Next up will be the sprites doing nothing special. Starting with elites, this is the lower numbered one. It's going to target Anaphi because Anaphi's closer, so it'll move up 1, and unfortunate that I'm probably using up the safeguard on this attack and not on the one coming in from the big guy. But let's see what this is. It's a base 2 attack. Okay. And by safeguard, I actually meant ward, but both will come into play here because the ward I will not have to use up, but the safeguard will prevent me from getting a curse. And actually, before I do the attack, I did know who was going to be attacking, what was going to happen. I'm just going to switch over. Instead of putting the ward on the rats, I am going to put it on Anaphi. Because the rats get to heal when they take damage. These guys don't hit very hard. If they do hit hard, I could always use the Warden's Robe to reduce it. So no reason to waste the ward on the rats. That said, let's go ahead and do this elite attack. I will be cursing Anaphi's deck, and it's going to be a -1. So 1 damage, which will be 1 damage to the rats, knocking them down to 6, but then they will immediately heal back up to 7. And that healing ability happens every time they take damage. And speaking of which, taking damage, they may take damage now, as these guys are going to move up. Again, they are not within range of either. They're going to have to move 2 spaces to get in range of one of the enemies, closer to the rats. So top, bottom, left, right, they'll go here and do a 2 attack against the rats, which also -1, so the rats take a damage and then heal it back. I think I like these guys. Actually, not that it really matters, but just to be technical about it, those attacks are at disadvantage because of the card Anaphi played. So I will actually, the first one is a -1 or a -1. I will draw for the next one, which is going to be a +1 or a -1, so same result. And next up will be the Arcane Construct, who's going to move to attack 5. It will go here, again, following the top, bottom, left, right movement rules. And it'll go ahead and do a 5 attack on Satha. That is going to be -2, so 3 damage. The ward is going to reduce it to 1, and her armor is going to reduce it to 0. Finally, Hale is up for her long rest, and I hate to lose it because I really like the idea of building this up each game, especially since I'm not going to be playing her that often. But I don't think it's going to happen. Maybe in a future campaign I will work this card, but in order to kill an enemy, It'd either have to be the boss or one of the sprites, leaving very little margin of error for Anaphi's mastery goal, which is still very much on the table. That's I need the rat swarm to take out 3 enemies. So I want to keep that option on the table, and so I'm going to lose this card. That's going to do it for round 14. Next round, the Arcane Construct is going to be tougher. And by the way, it cannot be stunned or poisoned. I think I can be disarmed. I'm not even sure I have the means to do that at this point. But I will Wane Frost. We'll up the round counter and get ready for the next round. It can be poisoned. It's immune to disarm, immobilize, and stun. Also, Hail Long Resting, even though it's going to give her back an odd number of cards, I am going to leave her Irritation in play. So she's got increased range, which will be helpful. And as long as she doesn't move during her turn, or at least she doesn't end up in a different spot during her turn, then she will be able to gain Irritation, which she'll do now, which is going to get her up to 5 Irritation, which means hypothetically over the next 3 rounds, could I actually spend... No, because she's going to have to long rest in between to keep her battle goal. So, but nevertheless, she is at 5 Irritation, and she is still on track for her mastery. So another thing I realize I've been doing wrong as I was double-checking some things is I keep calling it Irritation that Hail is gaining, but it's Resolve, which thematically I guess makes more sense. She gets irritated enough, she gains some Resolve. The question I had here is she's at 5 Resolve. What happens if she doesn't spend any this round and she gains at the end of the turn? Does she gain a Resolve? She can only have a maximum of 5. I don't know what the ruling is. It's not in the FAQ yet, so you can let me know. But I think my assumption is usually in games like this, you gain something, you just ignore the benefit if you're over your max. So I think I'm going to say that it will count for her goal. I could do things differently if that weren't the case, but in terms of getting her mastery, I'm going to assume that, yes, I'm at 5, I gain it, and then I just don't get to keep it. So with that said, she's going to go very fast. She's going to be swapping some enemies and poisoning. I cannot swap the construct because it is a named enemy. It's not a normal or elite, but that's fine. It's really the sprites or the forest imps that I want to get poisoned. So she's going to be swapping. She's got +1 range, so she's going to be able to... Actually, she can target the rats anyway. But she's going to be able to get the rats to move in while they still have advantage, get in an attack. Then not far behind her will be Anaphi. Rats will get to attack again, and then maybe the rats will get to attack again, depending on how things go. Actually, I'm realizing now I might just want to make a switch, as I've got the card that lets the rats attack at +1, and there will be... Actually, yeah, no, the rats will have a target, because even if there's no forest imps nearby, rats can just throw that attack on to the stone construct. So I'll probably keep this the way it is, though I will double check. And then Satha on her turn is also going to be granting attacks, most likely. Lots of stuff going on, so all that remains now is to see where the enemies are going. Right, so I won't update it here, but I actually am going to change it. I think it's pretty important that I have some control over the movement of the rats. I really want to be able to go after those forest imps. So I'm going to switch it to the card that allows me to give movement. It's initiative 7, but I'm still going to use the other initiative card as I want to go after Hail. And it occurred to me, Hail's generating the wind this round, so I'll be able to use that card that consumes wind next round. And taking a look at the enemies, we'll go ahead and... Okay, excellent. We've got a calculated strike from the forest imps, so they're not going until later in the round. And then calculated strike from the Arcane Construct, so I guess that's going to be a 12 attack. That's not great. Somebody is going to be losing a card. Actually, yeah, I'm going to have Satha probably take a short rest after this so that she's got cards in hand so that she can lose one when she gets whacked. Although she does have 12 health, so we'll see. So Hail will kick things off, and from all the way back there, she does need to have line of sight on the enemies to move them, but she does. She's got line of sight on everybody in the room, and so we'll go ahead, and she's actually going to swap these 2 forest imps. so that we can let the rats start beating on the elite, and they'll both be poisoned. And yes, actually, the extra range does make a difference here because Leave Me Alone is normally range 2, but all of her ranged abilities currently are range 3 because of the irritation she's got in play. So she is within 3 of the rats, so she can give them a move 2 and attack 2, and they're going to attack the forest imps. Now the rats will go ahead and attack, just a base 1 attack, but the poison makes it a 2 attack, and it will be with advantage. So there goes a curse, -1, so no damage, but at least we got rid of a curse. Next up will be Anaphi, and first up there will be this guy who's going to fly on top of the log. I'm just going to move it out of the way so it doesn't fall over, but yeah, the Harrower does have flying, does not have any targets in range, so we'll just hang out there. Now the rats will go ahead, again, still have advantage, and it's going to be another 1 attack against the poisoned elite, still with advantage, and so that is going to be even better. That's going to be a +2 or a -1. Yeah, we'll take the +2 on top of the 2 it already had. That's a 4 for 3 damage. And now Anafi's turn proper, and we will go ahead and have her play Vermin Call. So she will go ahead and grant a move 2, and it'll be attack 1, as we'll go after the non-elite, see if we can't take that one out. So that one also poisoned, so we've got a 2 attack, again with advantage, and either a 0 or a 0, so just 1 damage, unfortunately. But we're making progress. I do then have movement if I wanted to move the rats further, but I actually think I like them right where they are. I will, however, use the bottom of the other card to make them invisible. So now it is Satha's turn, and I think what I'm going to have her do, Wolfpack Tactics, we'll start there, but instead of attacking the big guy, I'm going to see if we can't help out with these forest sprites, take out one of the elites, or at least set things up. So I'm going to do a 2 attack using my Iron Spear against this guy. And that is going to be a 2 + 1 from the poison is 3 and a 0. So that's a hit for 2 damage, bringing that one down to 1. And for the second part of Wolfpack Tactics, I will go ahead and grant an attack to the Rat Swarm, who will also attack the elite. No longer at advantage, just a straight up 1 plus the poison is 2, and a +1 is 3. So that is going to take one of the elites off the board. Excellent. And I still have 1 more attack, the bottom part of the other card, so we'll go ahead and do, this time, Satha will do a 2 attack against the boss. And that is going to be +1. So we're on a good run here, and that is going to knock him down. Oh, actually, he was at 42, so down to 39. The previous attack will also generate Faust. I also do get to do a heal within range 2, so we'll throw a point on to Anaphi, raising her from 6 to 7. Last but not least, and pretty critical, given what's about to come her way, Satha will take a short rest, and the card I randomly drew is the Dazing Sweep. That's fine. I'm not planning on attacking multiple enemies. My efforts now are going to be focused pretty squarely on the boss while we let the rats continue to gnaw away at the forest imps. I should also note that the swarm has notched its first kill, so just 2 more and we've got that mastery done. Now the forest imps are going to go, and since the rats are invisible, they're both going to attack Satha. So one of them, that'll be 1 curse in the deck, and here come 2 3 attacks. The first one is going to be a -1, 2 damage. I'll use my armor, so just 1 damage from that, down to 11. And the next one is a 5. So question is, do I lose a card to prevent that? I'm going to have to lose a card almost certainly to prevent the next one. I could get some healing. I think I'll just take the 5 damage. Here comes the calculated strike. This is going to be a 12 attack against Satha. Couldn't plan it better if I wanted to. It's a miss. And that's going to do it for the round. These 2 elements will wane, both be available for next turn. And I think there's a pretty good chance Satha will want to use some frost to ward herself, and I'm sure the rats will be able to make good use of the wind. So let's move on to the next round and get into it. All right, so we head into round 16, and we'll just keep things moving along. Gonna have Anaphi go pretty fast so that the rats can hopefully take out another forest imp and start working on the elite as well. We're gonna get Hale involved in the action. She's going to be long resting again after this turn, but we'll move her forward with some help from Satha, and we'll kind of go over that as we get to her turn. And that was really Satha's cards were mainly picked by how she can benefit her teammates this round. And moving over to X-Haven to see when the enemies are going to go. Forest imps are phasing out. Very annoying. I actually gonna have a little bit of Pierce this round, but ill-timed for sure. As for the Arcane Construct, a Runic Draw, move 3, attack range 3, pull 2, immobilize. All right, a whole bunch of stuff going on there. We'll figure it out when it's their turn. So the Forest Imps will go first, and very annoyingly will heal. At least it's just poison off. But that's kind of annoying because that poison was very helpful. And they will give themselves 6 shields, so they have 7 shields. Plus side, actually, looking at my cards, I think I can swap things up for Anaphi and still be effective this turn. Not as effective as I'd hoped, but still going to be able to do some good stuff. But before we get to that, before Anaphi goes, her Harrower is going to move 2 into the door frame. And we can put the log back where it belongs. And now it is in range of the Arcane Construct, so it will go ahead and fire away. Just going to be a 1 attack, but it will muddle the Construct, which will put a condition on it, and it means it won't move when it does its ranged attack. -2 is very much going to not do any damage. Now, even with the 3 pierce that I've got by burning the air, it'd be a 2 attack with 3 pairs, still not going to be enough to put a dent in either of these forest imps, so I'll swap it around. Instead, I'll generate Night and throw a curse in their deck, but before I do that, I will do the other card first, which is to have one of the forest imps attack the other. And as I was talking about this, it does have to be a melee attack. The attack doesn't matter, but I'm going to have the elite do the attack so it ends up poisoning itself. And the attack is going to be a +1, so glad that that didn't get drawn against me. Then we'll go ahead and shuffle a curse into the monster deck, and that will do it for Anaphi's turn. So I had been planning for Satha to have her let Hale move, but now I'm taking a closer look, and Hale is not within range. She is 4 away, so I am going to have to switch things up for Hale's turn. She'll still be able to be effective, but that being the case, I'll probably end up moving Anaphi instead. First, we'll go ahead, we'll do a 3 attack on the boss. It does have 2 shields, but hey, you never know. You might just burn a curse, so good enough. Can't complain about that. Then I can grant 3 movement, so I will have Anaphi go 1, 2, 3, and grab a coin. I had originally been planning on having Hale do a bunch of looting, but things are going to switch around for her. So for the bottom part of the card, I'm just going to have Satha move up here. Ideally, I'd have her move further, get a little bit closer to the treasure on the other side, but I do still want her to be within range of the heal that Hale is now going to be doing. So just moving 1, but then she will burn the frost to ward herself. And that will also put her up to 6 XP and regenerate the frost. Next up will be the Arcane Construct, who normally would move away to do a ranged attack, but since it's got Muddle, it'll just go ahead and stay where it is, attacking Satha at disadvantage. And that is either going to be a +1 or 0. It's a 0, so that is 3 damage. The ward will reduce that to 1. Satha is down to 5, and now we'll finish up with Hale. For Hale, she is going to continue to not move. But she's got the benefit of a little bit better range, that +1 range her irritation gives her. So she will be able to go 1, 2, 3, targeting this space with the large heal so that it gets both Satha and Anaphi. And she will go ahead and spend one of her 5 resolve to give that heal a +1 and give her an XP up to 6 XP. That will bring Satha back up to 7 and Anafi back up to full at 9. Then she'll go ahead and burn 2 more resolve to do a 5 attack. And again, range 4 normally, but range 5 with her irritation, so she can just reach the Arcane Construct. It does have 2 shields up, but a 5 attack, and it will wound it. And since she's about to take a long rest yet again, I might as well use the simple bow, giving this attack advantage. Either a 0 or +1. So +1, that's 6 damage against 2 shields, 4 damage to the boss. And finally, since Hail didn't move, she will gain a resolve. So she's up to 3, and hey, she's spent 3 resolve, but she's not going to be doing it 2 more turns in a row. Not this game. Last order of business for the round, and technically should have happened earlier, but I often forget. Short rest for Anafi. Randomly, she loses Tiber's Tenacity, which, honestly, even though the healing would be nice, it's probably the card I would have chosen, because at this point, I just need to keep my damage output as high as possible. Finally, we will wane a bunch of elements and advance the round tracker and move on to round 17. For this round, Hale will once again be taking a long rest, but in the meantime, I'm going to have Anathi go very fast and hopefully take out at least one of these forest imps, not to mention get a muddle on the boss. Very convenient having that extra summons back there, the Harrower pecking away at it. Took a while to get here, but not too late. And Satha is going to try and help out, granting attacks to summons, and also taking advantage of the shields being down to do a bottom attack as well. And also part of my decision making for what to play for Satha was to leave in her hand the card I'd be most willing to lose if I take a ton of damage. Because this round, the construct will be having a double attack. So it's going to be Tip the Scales, Forest Imp going on 24. That is very annoying. Don't think I'm going to be able to kill them both, unfortunately. But at least they're not attacking. And they're not cursing. The Arcane Construct doesn't need to move, so it's not going to damage itself. It is going to be doing a 10 attack against Satha. We'll kick things off with Anafi, which means her summons are going first. First, the Harrower will do a 1 attack against the Stone Contract. That is 1 damage, bringing it down to 34. Then the Swarm of Rats will go ahead. They'll attack the lower initiative in this case, which will be the Elite. So it'll be a 1 attack plus 1 from the poison is 2. And that is going to be times 2. So that is a 4. So 3 damage to the Elite, bringing it down to 3. And that is going to bring us to Anafi's regular turn. And I think at this point, I've seen the +2 go by, the ×2, as well as the summons. Well, it doesn't even matter the summons ones. That's just a +1. I actually think it's safe for her to go ahead and do her ranged attack against the Forest Imp without having to worry about killing it. So I'm going to attack the Elite. It's just a 1 attack at range. It'll generate air, so I'll do that now. +1 from the poison. And this will be the 8th time that she has targeted an enemy that has a condition on it, so we've completed that mastery goal. We just have to do it 2 more times in 2 more scenarios. But let's go ahead and do our 2 attack. -1 is 1. Against the shield is no damage. I will continue to try and peck away, though, using the other card, the Augment, to go ahead and give the rats another go at it, as they will do a 2 attack, including the poison. +1 is 3, so 2 more damage. We're getting close. They're both down to 1. We just need to set it up so the rats can take them out. We'll gain an XP for that, and that's going to do it for Nafi's turn. Of course, with the Augment, I could move the rats, but I am very happy to leave them where they are. Next up are the forest imps, and they're going to strengthen everyone, all of their allies within range too. They cannot reach the stone construct, so just themselves, and they will, however, be able to muddle the rats, Anaphi, and Satha. But otherwise, that's it for their turn. Satha will now be up, and first she'll do the bottom 2 attack against the construct, then she'll heal herself from 7 back to 8. Then she'll do the wolf pack tactics, doing another attack against the construct, and then granting a 2 attack to the rats. Of course, all 3 of these will attacks be at disadvantage, but let's see how they go. First attack against the stone construct is going to be either a miss or a curse, so take that opportunity to get a curse out of the deck. The second 2 attack is going to be either a curse or a +1. All right, well, no damage, but we are starting to thin down the deck of all of the junk that the forest imps have put in. Now it'll be a 2 attack with advantage. We will go and I think, or with disadvantage, I think we'll try and take out the elite. So I'll go ahead and draw 2 cards. So this will be a 3 attack, either a +1 or a +1, so 4. And that is kill number 2 for the rat swarm. That will also regenerate frost, and now what I keep calling the stone construct, the arcane construct will go ahead and do a 10 attack against Satha. It will be at disadvantage. So let's see, either a 0. Look, I really would not have a problem throwing away cards. Satha's got plenty of cards. I'm not worried about her getting exhausted. But if fate does not want her to get hit, then I suppose we will accept fate. Finally, to finish out the round, Hale will do her long rest, once again getting her simple bow back. She will lose Leave Me Alone, again keeping her irritation in play. So she's where she started, so she will gain a resolve. She is up to 4 resolve, and that is going to do it for the round. Just take care of these elements, get ready for round 18. One thing I forgot from last round was the Arcane Construct is wounded, so took a damage down to 33. For this round, once again, the Arcane Construct has its shields back up. We're going to still try and get some damage in, but also doing positioning. Hail going to be finally moving, and hopefully the rats can take out that last forest spirit. So let's see. Taking a look at everything in Xhaven, Anathi and Satha both going on 16. Satha a little faster, which is good because she'll be able to buff at least one of the other attackers. Hale could go on 10, but she doesn't like what she sees in there. She'll wait, and she's going to go on 80. We got the Forest Imp down to 1. It is strengthened, and the Arcane Construct wounded at 33. And drawing a Dark Charm for the Forest Imp, who hopefully will be gone. Arcane Construct, Sacrificial Hurl, 6 attack at range 3, and it could do a damage to itself. And it is not going to be moving, so that attack will be at disadvantage. Satha will kick things off with a move 2. She's just going to move back in over here. She's going to heal herself for 3 up to 11, generating light. Not that it really matters, but we'll do our due diligence. And with that move 2, she is also going to give +1 attack to anybody attacking an enemy adjacent to her. So everyone attacking the big guy this round will get +1 to attack. Next up, Anaphi will go. So first, the summons. The Harrower will attack. Its first attack will be at +1, so a 2 attack against 2 shields. And that is going to be also not at disadvantage. This one's not at disadvantage, but it's a -2. So very much a miss, but once again, the Arcane Construct, again, not that it really matters, is muddled. Then the rats will go a 1 attack, and this is going to be at disadvantage. So either a -1 or a 0. Either way, that's a miss. And I'm not sure I did this right before, but that is the end of their turn. So the rats are no longer muddled when it comes to Anafi's turn, which is good because we're going to take one more shot. It'll be a +1, so it'll be a 2 attack, and we will burn the wind to go up to 10 XP. And more importantly, give this attack Pierce, so we do not have to worry about the shields. No disadvantage. Straight up. Here we go. It is a -1 on a 2 attack. Is just 1, but no shields. And I would be lying if I said I wasn't surprised that I actually did manage to pull off this mastery. That is kill number 3. Amazing. That's that card, and now we've got the bottom of the other. No real reason to make anybody invisible. At this point, I might as well start going around and collecting loot. So I'm just going to go up here and grab that coin, and that is going to do it for Anaphi. Next up, the Arcane Construct will go ahead and do a 6 attack against Satha. It will be at disadvantage. Could we get a 3rd miss in a row? You never know. It's either a 0 or a 0. Okay, so that one hit. I'm going to let her take the damage. So she'll be down to 4. No reason to lose a card now with a huge attack coming in next turn. Finally, on her turn, Hale will get into the picture as she will do a teleport 3, but I'll actually spend one of her 4 resolve to make that a teleport 6. So she can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 right up over here. And then for the other, she'll put her loot card into play. It'll give her a resolve, so she's back up to 4. She's not going to get any loot this turn, but 1 resolve is enough. And I do need to do a short rest for Satha. At this point, so I originally drew the card with her bottom attack, and I don't think I can afford to lose that. Even with the curses, I need to be making as many attacks as I can. So I took a chance. I lost a life, which actually brings me down to 4. I misspoke before. I was at 11. I took 6 damage down to 5. So now I'm down to 4, and this is the card I drew instead. I lost my healing card, but at this point, it's got to be damage, damage, damage. And Satha does not have to take all the attacks. It's time to bring in the reinforcements. Nafi also needed a short rest and kind of realizing how things are going to go, the way things are going to move. Instead of moving to the coin, because I need her to take an attack, she's still warded. I'm going to go ahead and let the coin go. I'll leave it there. She'll move there. That way, when the rats move, it won't be in the way. For the short rest, randomly drawn, I did shuffle. This was the card I was probably most willing to lose. So rather than leave it in play, I let it go to my discard, and it is the card I ended up drawing. Things are getting a bit dicey here in round 19. I have a lot of damage still to go. Actually, 32, not 33. So I'm just going to try and get out as much damage as I can, take advantage of the Construct shields being down this round, and see how much we can do. The Construct will be going on 51 with an attack 4, so that's probably its weakest attack, so just an attack 8. We'll kick things off with Hale, who at the start of her turn will be able to do a move 2, so she'll be able to get some loot. She will then go ahead and fire off a couple of attacks. We will start off with the 5 attack, spending 2 resolve so that we don't lose it. Once again, using the simple bow to gain advantage. That attack is going to be either a +1 or a +1, so 6 damage to the Arcane Construct, down to 26. That's a nice chunk. Then she'll go ahead and throw a 1 attack at it. Range 3, yep, she's just in range. So that is going to be 2 more damage, down to 24, and she'll spend another resolve so that she, instead of wounding herself and those adjacent, she can actually ward herself. Anafi's already warded, but she'll also go ahead and ward Satha. That will also give her another XP up to 10, and last but not least, she'll go ahead and loot the coin she was standing on, which will give her a resolve, putting her back up to 2. Next up will be Anaphi and her army of summons. Well, if 2 can be considered an army, we'll start off with a 1 attack from the Harrower, and that is going to be just 1 damage. Then the rats will move into position, which I think is also going to make them the target of the attack. They'll also do an attack, but poison would have been really nice, and I was looking at my cards. Could I have it poisoned itself? Unfortunately, I would have had it attack one of mine, but I can only have it attack its allies in that situation with the control. So just another 1 attack. But hey, that's going to be +2. So 3 damage, so 4 damage total, and we've got it down to 20. All right, so this is fun. So now Anaphi gets to do some attacks. And the first attack is going to be a 2 attack with push. So let's go ahead and do that. That's 2 damage. And yeah, we'll just push 1 away. And then we'll go ahead and do a ranged attack, which will also generate wind. And that is going to be a 1 attack for another 2 damage. So down to 16. And then I'll use the pull ability to bring him back within range of Satha. Next up will be Satha, and she'll go ahead and do the bottom ability first, a 2 attack, and then a heal. So the 2 attack is going to be a curse. I think 4 more there's still in there. She will heal herself up to 5, and then go ahead and do the Wolfpack card. So another 2 attack, -1. So it is 1 damage, down to 15, but then she'll grant an attack to Anaphi, who I think this will be attack now number 11 against an enemy with a condition, because it is muddled from the Harrower's attack. And so this is going to be a +1, so 3 more damage. So 4 damage total, down to 12. We're getting there. That will bring us to the Arcane Construct, who is going to do an 8 attack against, it's going to be the Rat Swarm, as they are the lowest initiative value. It will at least be at disadvantage, so maybe it survives. Actually, I think it will survive. It's either going to be a 0 or a 0. So that's 8 damage. I will use the Warden's Robes to reduce that from 8 down to 6. So the rats live. They have 7 health. They're down to 1, and then they do heal 1 back up to 2. These rats are champions. That is going to do it for round 19. We are getting down to it. Anaphi does need to do another short rest. Hale is going to need to do a long rest. And Satha's good to go. I let my augment go back into the mix. I drew Sickening Betrayal, which I want to hold on to. So I spent a life to go down to 8 and losing this card instead. We are going to give it everything we got here. This will be the final active turn for Anaphi, but Anaphi has 2 cards left, so she will be able to long rest next round, which means the summons will get to get in 1 more attack, because she won't exhaust until the following round when she has no cards. But as long as she got 2 cards in the discard pile, she can long rest. As for Satha, I'm just going to try and improve enemies' attacks, and been holding on to this one a while. The ability to give Pierce. I timed it out, so I would be able to play it on a turn when the construct has its shields up. This will effectively nullify that for her, and also for the next attack, which I guess will be the Harrower. You can see this round, Hale long resting. I'm actually having Anaphi go a little bit slower so that Satha can go first. And it is going to be another Sacrificial Hurl, so a 6 attack from the Arcane Construct. At least this one won't be doubled. All right, so move 2. Satha's not going anywhere, but she will grant that ability that each ally's first attack will be at +1, since she's going to remain adjacent to it. Then she'll go ahead and do a 3 attack with Pierce 2. And here's hoping I can actually hit. I can. A 4 attack for 4 damage. Next up will be Anaphi and her summons. So the first attack by the Harrower with the +1, it's going to be a 2 attack, and it's also going to have Pierce 2, -1, so just 1 damage. Then the rats, also a 1 attack with +1, however, no Pierce, so 2 attack against 2 shields, and a miss. Got rid of that curse finally. All right, so now for Anaphi's turn proper, let's go ahead and grant another attack. It doesn't really matter if I do it the Harrower or the rats. Let the rats have it. So it'll be a base 1 attack, +1 from the card, and then I will go ahead and burn the wind to gain an XP up to 12 XP and giving this Pierce. So no shields to worry about, just a straight 2 attack. +1 is 3 more damage, and we have the Arcane Construct down to 4. At this point, I'm not really worried about being able to take out the Arcane Construct. Satha could kite the thing at this point with its wound. In fact, I can't even remember if I had it take its wound damage before. It might even be at 3. But that said, I don't need to do another attack. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to grab some loot over here. And that is going to be it for my crew that are taking active turns this round. And now the construct up, and we'll take a bleed wound down to 3, maybe 2. Doesn't really matter. This will be a 6 attack, still with disadvantage, as this guy's constantly getting muddled from the Harrowing Harrower attack. And it is going to be either a +1 or a +2. Well, that is a 7 attack. Fortunately, just barely, Satha is warded, so the 7 becomes a 3. She's at 4 health. Now she's at 1 health. Finally, we are up to the long rest for Hale, who's been no slouch, even though she's kind of been hanging back. She's going to use that move to put herself on the chest, and we'll see what she ends up getting. In the meantime, let's figure out which card she's going to lose. End of her turn, Satha will go ahead and loot the chest, which I'm pretty sure is a token. It doesn't really matter. I could have done it in either order. Could have looted the other one. But that will give her back up to 3 resolve. And inside the chest, she finds experience. Amazing tomes locked away in this chest, even the most valuable the library has to offer. That's 15 more XP for Hale. And I'm going to have her lose Bizarre Antics. Seeing the boss this low, I'm a little sad that I let go of my card with all of the check marks on it. Right, this one. Because I definitely could have gotten in the killing blow on the boss, but who knows? I needed the whole combination of other cards to kind of get to this point. That card wasn't doing a lot for me, other than just kind of taking up space. I'm not even trying. I might have played it for a teleport 4 once. Anyway, that's going to do it for the round, and we're going to finish things up next round. Round 21, let's finish it off. Hale will go first. She'll have advantage on her attack as she goes to take this guy out. She's got a teleport if she wants to move around. Satha's got some loot up, and it might even be that Anaphi, who's taking a long rest, might still get some loot out of this. Drawing for the Arcane Construct is doing nothing special on 64. Hale will kick things off with, yet again, a 5 attack at range 4. At this point, she doesn't even need to keep the card, but sure, she'll spend the resolve to do it. She'll once again use her simple bow to give this attack advantage, and even though it's not going to do anything, she wants to use her stun powder, so she will. To give this attack a stun that will not affect the Arcane Construct. That really won't affect it if it's dead. Let's see. It's either going to be a +2 for 7 damage or a +1. So yes, 7 damage, and the Arcane Construct has been taken down. Hale will finish off her turn by... She'll spend another resolve to gain an XP and teleport over here. So she can go ahead and loot that. And having looted, she will gain another resolve, which means she did manage to gain a resolve every round, completing a mastery goal. That's going to do it for her. And for Satha, is going to go ahead and play her loot card. So she's going to be able to loot 1 and grab both of these, and she will share the glory as Anaphi will go ahead and loot 1. The only downside is she does not get the extra loot token because there are none left. Again, in 2nd edition Gloomhaven, you have 25 loot tokens. That's it. And as it turned out, I used all 25. So a little bit of loot left on the table. 1 here, 1 back on a bush. But picked up 23 loot tokens. Not too shabby. End of the round, I guess the summons will just head a little bit closer to their master. And that is going to do it for the Arcane Library. Bit of a nail-biter, I have to say. After I finished out that first room, seeing what a difficult time I was having taking out the forest imps, I was not sure I was going to be able to pull this off. But as I kind of started moving in, I realized, okay, I do have a lot of turns left. I just need to be very methodical, make sure I don't lose any cards. I think that's an important thing strategically when you're facing a difficult scenario, is to make sure that you can extend things out. Also made easy by the fact that I did not bring a lot of lost cards into the scenario. So other than the summons, I didn't really have the temptation there. So it worked out well there. Satha did not get a lot of XP, just picked up 6. But speaking of which, let's take a look at the scenario rewards and how each character ended up. Scenario rewards, we got a new city event shuffled into the city deck and gained an ancient technology, one of 5 we need for some other unlock or to be able to read a section. So 1 down, 4 to go. Now in terms of character advancement, Satha picked up 14 XP, 8 for the scenario and 6 that she managed to compile, along with 27 gold. Hale got a crazy amount of XP. She generated 12 plus the 8, 20 plus 15, 35, not to mention the 5 from the city event. So she almost leveled in one shot. She's at 85 XP, also 24 gold, and she did achieve a mastery, so she'll be getting a perk next time whenever I play them again. Finally, for Anaphi, she picked up 20 XP going up to 70. Gold wise, she got 6 tokens, so another 18 gold, up to 23 from the 5 I let her say before, and completed a mastery, and is 1 of 3 towards completing the other mastery. But there you have it. That is the Arcane Library. That is Gloomhaven Mercenaries. I really enjoyed playing these new characters. A lot of interesting stuff going on. If I had to rank, I'd say Hale is probably my favorite. And then I think just because I got so enmeshed in the masteries and kind of really figuring out how to play Anaphi, I really enjoyed her. But Satha, really interesting too. And I love the synergy between the two of being able to have all the summons move around and attack. So had a lot of fun. That was a long session. If you made it this far, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to check out some of the other creative things I'm doing, www.dranthar.com. Link is in the show notes. The other thing I would say is, comments are welcome. Which of the mercenaries are your favorite? And what do you think of how I am introducing them campaign? Do you want to see me do more side treks with these? Let me know. Otherwise, as always, until next time, and thanks for watching.